Okay, finally we're moving on to day 2 of our recent trip to Ethiopia with Brian McConnell and Dave Perry. After a very disturbing first day on a visit to the Addis Ababa dump and seeing all of the disabled people and their children living off of the garbage, we moved on the second day up to Bahirdar, up in the northern part of Ethiopia. Bahirdar is a beautiful town up in northern Ethiopia on the shores of Lake Tana. The name actually means by the sea. It is the largest lake in Ethiopia. It was about 6 years ago that my wife Sue and 2 daughters, Sarah and Rachel, moved up to Bahirdar to begin some ministries up in the north. We started many projects while we were there, and coming back now, after having been gone for 2 years, you're always wondering if anything is left of the many projects and hard work that you put into seeing things get off the ground. One of the principles that we used when we went up to the north was that any projects we started, we wanted to make sure that they were with local partners so that when we left, everything would not fall flat. We started a Big Brother, Big Sister project involving the university students. We started vocational training projects for young women, and the Kalahiwat Church, as well as the Muluwangal Church, were partners in these projects. As well, we had people living with AIDS projects, agroforestry projects. All of these projects were done with local partners to ensure that when we left, things would not fall apart. However, you're always wondering if things really continued well when you left, and to our relief and great surprise, things not only continued but far exceeded anything we could have imagined. Well, enough preamble. Getting back to day 2, we arrived up in Bahirdar and stayed at the Gion Hotel. This hotel was built around the Second World War time. It was built by the Italians and was sort of a resort for them, and it became headquarters during various revolutions and coups and things, and has a long history behind it. It's still kind of a rundown hotel, but is adequate for our stay, and was certainly beautiful surroundings with birds, and to sit by the lake in the morning for breakfast was wonderful. The first project that we went to visit was a people living with AIDS project that we started through the Kalahiwat Church when we were there. Now, we knew that in Bahirdar there was a large population of HIV positive, and AIDS was a real problem. It is a garrison town for soldiers. It's also a tourist town. There's a large university population there, and a lot of people moving in from the rural areas. There's a lot of contributing factors as to why the HIV/AIDS rate is so high. There are as many as 10,000 prostitutes in the town, and this project was actually started through the Kalahiwat Church through a group of mainly women that came to the Kalahiwat Church pleading that they were on their way to dying with no one to help them. Many of the women had been infected by their husbands who had since died or left, and they had many dependents, and they were concerned for their dependents and saw nothing but the blackness and lack of hope for the future. It so happened that our first year there we had many university students that visited us, and we put them to work doing research on people living with AIDS and trying to work together with the Kalahiwat Church in developing a program that would help these people, an association people living with AIDS that can provide both income and hope for their future. Some Australian friends responded to an immediate appeal that I put out, and we began to work with this association, initially helping them find some local income generating jobs. And later on we were able to form them into an association and get some additional funding from US aid. And we had no idea how successful this project was going to be. This project has become a model for all of Ethiopia on how to form people living with AIDS into associations and develop income generation activities for them. The government also came in and helped by giving some large tracts of land, enabling them to develop urban agricultural products, many vegetables, as well as dairy farming, livestock raising, etc. It has now grown to the extent that there are over 1,000 direct beneficiaries plus their dependents that are part of around 7 or 8 different associations, and they seem to be providing enough food for all of Bahirdar. So this group of people that were once the outcasts, were on the doorsteps pleading for food, have now become the providers of food for much of Bahirdar, and it's truly an amazing story. On day 2 in the morning, we also took a trip by boat out to the island monasteries on Lake Tana. We saw hippos and the interesting things related to Lake Tana. The island monasteries are Orthodox churches and monks. There's a lot of history. The northern part of Ethiopia for centuries has been dominated by the Orthodox Church. It has a long history there. At these churches are many paintings on the walls that have both elements of Bible stories as well as history of Ethiopia and many of the Ethiopian saints related to the Orthodox Church. So it was a good cultural experience and gave me a little background on the history of the Orthodox Church in the north of Ethiopia. So that pretty well wraps up day 2 of our Ethiopian trip. The other days that I plan to produce something will be much quicker, and some of the days I'll combine into one. So our 14-day trip isn't going to be a series of 14 videos. We'll try and shorten things up a little. Thanks for watching.